Hello, Tiki Gray here to talk about the brand new meta. I'm kidding. I'm actually here to talk about Pigeonless Badger, which I've been trying out in the last 2 weeks. And I'm not going to say it's particularly good, but it's definitely not bad. I very well might go as far to say it's actually a lot better than this normal Badger, because normal Badger is definitely bad. Outside of a very select few situations that don't exist anymore, generally speaking, in the current meta. So why would you run Badger out Pigeons? Well, let's do some math real quick. So for 20 food, Pigeons have 3 health and 1 DPS of healing. A Skrill has 8 health and 2 DPS. Would you rather have 9 pigeons or 3 falcons? Like, pigeons are, like, by several magnitudes, like, the worst stat for cost in the game. And they're just not worth it. Like, why even take pigeons? I guess don't take the pigeons. Because even if the... Like, where do I start with this? So look at my deck. The artillery, I'm just messing around with artillery too. Artillery is not like necessary for Pigeonless Badger. I've just been messing around with artillery a lot. I've been trying it out a lot recently, and this deck works decently well. Now imagine if it was Falcon, Skunk, Pigeon, or Falcon, Cam, Pigeon. See, that's just such an inherently weak force right there. Like if you have Pigeon Badger, your entire deck revolves around the Badger. Getting the Badger out, keeping the Badger alive. If the Badger dies, you generally just lose the game right there. Because Pigeon as a deck slot is so huge. This deck, or if you have Pigeonless Badger, you can have the rest of your army. And the rest of your army can do things without the Badger, unlike it's the normal Pigeon Badger deck, which relies on the Badger so much compared to, say, another deck that drops the Pigeon's full real unit. And that's the theory anyway, so. In practice, I've had multiple results. I think part of the negative experiences I've had are at least in part due to my poor Badger micro. Since your micro needs to be like perfect, or very spot on I should say, to get away with this. Because you want to try to keep the Badgers alive as much as possible. Which can be difficult at times, considering it's low health. Now, so game against Jin, putting on the Badger, pretty quick 16 farms game. He has Skunk, Snake, Wolf, Owl. Now, I saw Wolf, I was like, oh, he has Owl, doesn't he? I'm gonna lose the game. I was considering just surrendering. Because Badger still loses super hard against the Wolf Owl Snake, unfortunately. But Jin makes one very probably fatal mistake, which is he takes this mill. Now, this is game-endingly bad if I move out of my base first and I engage on his side of the map. Because I get my Badger revved up for free. Then I go over to this mill with my revved up Badger, and his commander, he cannot micro his snake tags because he can obviously not walk through a cliff, so I just kill any units that are there because he can't micro his snake tags. So all 6 snakes shoot at like a Skrill or some bullshit. And I just kill all his units and I kill the mill. So even if he has a bunch of owls, the mice can't do anything, and if he tries to move the owls over, the Badger will just kill them, or my army will just kill the owls, so that's kind of really not good for him. Hold on. But yeah. Just checking up here. Cam Badger is really weird since cams are kind of micro dependent and they do not have a large aggro range. If you give like a 3 towel wrong rally, like your cams might just end up staying here and not actually hitting the enemy army, which is really annoying. So Jin sees my Badger, and I guess he decides to not go Owl, although it'd still be a lot better to go Owl here, just to keep me from getting on his side of the map first. Toads are kind of weird. I mean, I guess it's better than no toads, but... Yeah, Skrill. that's also not good because I'm going 4 skunks. Did not want to put too. It's really interesting. They took this third mill instead of this one. I guess he thought he was gonna keep it secret, but yeah. So I assume he realizes that he can't stay up here. He's just gonna lose the game if he tries to fight from this cliff. So he goes around, but then his commander needs to be on his side to work, and like this is such an awkward angle for his forces. Look, my Badger's keeping the rev on the forward with buff skills, and now we're getting into a base trade situation. I was trying to micro my Badger, but I did not want to find a tile. Instead of camps, decided to take up the tile. Here we go. That's a little bit later than I would have liked, but I am building this mill, so I do know I won't have to worry about this losing right here. So at this point, I'm feeling really nice because I have spawning units. In this case, the Falcon and Skrill, but that's still something. But again, if you have Mass Snake, that's like kind of all his damage here, especially once a fight starts. And so all skills are going to die in 2 seconds to my 4 skunks. So snakes are like 80% of his damage, but if he's shooting my mill up here, he can't run his kick. Like, if he's shooting my mill if he's focusing my mill with his commander, he's not microing the snakes to shoot my units correctly. So this is kind of, yeah, it's just over. But like, Falcons only need 2 tags to die. That Falcon had 5 tags on it. Like, this commander is not in the right spot here. So he also tried, and again, this is why Badger's good, because if you try to go after the Badger, then your army is moving and not doing damage. So I just got my Badger backwards, and his army just dies trying to chase my Badger, or at least whatever units he's focused firing, if he's only focusing the snakes. Which is why I think this is actually kind of a counter to mass snakes, because so much of your damage is tied up in snakes here. So you either send all your 8 snakes after the Badger, in which case your army has like no damage, because that's all your damage right there. Or you don't go after the Badger, but in return the Badger gets to get its rev up on, say, his Gen Skrills or Skunks or something. It gets its rev up at the end of the day, which is also really not awesome. So I mean, yeah, there's no hole in that. Oh yeah, this was a pretty funny game. I'm gonna go ahead and play it, but Kier, aka Plu, was just playing way too greedy here. That's why they lost at the end of the day. But I still won with Pigeonless Badger, even if I won because he was playing greedy, but so I guess I'll show it off. So yeah, this happens, which is the opposite of awesome. I see that, I'm like, oh shit. That's not game over by any means, but I just don't know if we can reach the mill. Yeah, I just decide I can take this mill, and I have my own artillery, so if I try to put artillery in front of the 3rd mill, then I can just stop his artillery from getting up. But instead I decided to put a Badger here and decide to push. Because I figure he doesn't have skunk. And I'm kind of keeping his commander away so he can't shoot my pig. And I'm not sure if the artillery can reach their mill, or maybe, I don't know if the artillery has scatter on its shots or not. But, it's whatever. If I can stop his commander from scouting, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, he goes to push, and I just sell the artillery. Because if you're playing artillery and sniper balloon and not selling it before they get destroyed, you're not playing well. So yeah, that was a pretty nice fight for me, because again, like, a bunch of this is like that's artillery selling off, not me taking actual damage. Still kind of an equal trade though at the end of the day. I think I got slightly ahead, I think, from that fight. That's coming out soon. But he's going double Owlborn, putting down the artillery. I don't know what he was thinking. I guess he was overconfident here, since I'm going super Master since I know he doesn't have AoE. Or at least he doesn't have Skunks or Boar. It's just the AoE that I'm concerned about. I mean, yeah, he just doesn't have enough army here, and artillery's not up, so... I mean, even if artillery was up, the fight's probably gonna go badly for him. I end up throwing away the Badger here, since... whatever. Screw this up. Oh, okay, Kerpa, Pigeonless Badger. What's this one? Oh yeah, this game. Okay, let's go ahead and show this. Kerpa running Cam, Snake, Boar, MG, Skrill Pigeon, which is... Not having Skunks is still weird. I guess if you're running Pigeon Boar, it's more acceptable, since then you can keep the Boar alive much more easy. But before the Boar is out, your deck is really lacking capability, since it just doesn't have AoE. Pretty heavy farm game, because it's cabin in the way. So yeah, it's 3 mils versus 3. Almost kind of a pseudo choke point map. It'd be really weird to move across this terrain. I could scout his base really quickly and would notice it, most likely. So I just put artillery right here, and yeah, that's a problem for him. Badger is later than his Boar, which is really not awesome for me. But he just slides the delay for some reason. Did he not see the Badger? I guess he never scouted the Badger. Oh, okay then. He definitely wanted to attack before the Badger was out. I meanwhile did not realize his insane Falcon count. So the fight starts. So yeah, just letting the Badger get his rev up, and it's going so nice for me. Like, look at this. Then I get really overconfident, and I throw away the Badger for no reason. Like you cannot lose the Badger like that. I got overconfident, so. Yeah, I mean, I guess I still really am far ahead after that fight. Still, do not throw the Badger like that, because if the fight's closer, I'm probably gonna end up regretting that. Because here I go in again, and all of a sudden his Falcon Horde comes out, and it's like, wait. Since I didn't really do a whole lot of damage, I just kind of killed a mill that didn't have a whole lot of food left on it anyway. I know the game's still over though, so. As you can see, my 3 cams weren't doing it. My 3 cams still aren't doing anything because I didn't give it a good enough rally. And now they're doing something. Hooray. See, because issue to issue, focus the badger, then your army is moving, then the rest of my army does damage. Now, you can literally focus the badger sometimes because there's pigeons. Pigeons aren't going to be damaging your army if you're moving to kill the badger, but since I have real units that do damage, if they do try to focus the badger, they're going to be getting killed by those units. If they stay still, my badger gets its rev up. Or if they don't go after the badger, my badger gets its rev up. Oh yeah, this game was funny. Okay, so I'm like glancing at the Twitch Tooth and Tail stream, and I just said to have someone say Pigeonless Badger, bruh. It's like Pigeon without wings, not really. No. Pigeonless Badger is actually better than Pigeon Badger. Now, since there's so many different ways to look at bad or good, I'm looking. Now you're like, oh, I want Pigeon Badger against Owl Snake or Owl Falcon instead of Pigeonless Badger. It's like, sure, maybe then, but there's something people aren't looking at. You have to look at all the other situations. Like, because Pigeonless Badger has a much wider variety of situations, which is useful. There's a lot more situations where you can work with Falcon Skunk Cam than Pigeon Skunk Falcon, because like Falcon Skunk Cam is just gonna crush Falcon Skunk Pigeon in open terrain or in fights if it's not like behind the mill. Like, because giving up that deck slot costs you so much flexibility and power. Like, if you're Pigeon Badger, your entire deck's built around the pigeon. If you're running Pigeonless Badger, you have another deck slot. And yeah, there's a lot more things you can do. Oh yeah, so my bad, not stopping this. This is really not awesome for me, and that's kind of game over. Really, honestly. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he loses 6 lizards here for 3 pigs. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's still really not awesome. Try to eco super hard in response. Coming across a bunch of skrills, I don't feel comfortable taking that fight, but he sells the farm, so good enough for me. People in this Twitch chat are still talking about Pigeonless Badger. Thank God I'm making this video so I can show them what I'm talking about, since they're really missing the point. Pretty much everyone I've talked to has missed what I'm getting at with Pigeonless Badger. Yeah, I'm not saying it's amazing or even particularly good, but it's definitely not bad. And I will say I do think it's actually better than Pigeon Badger. There's enough food left on these farms. I probably should just build them right now, but I decided to hold off and still go for the same Badger timing. I built an artillery. I can't remember why I built artillery. Kind of unnecessary. I think I was just paranoid since he was so far ahead in army. Decided to go for a push here. Yeah, that was not a good push. I can't remember why I did that, honestly. Well, it's because I'm not scouting at all. Didn't realize how heavy tech in tier 2. So now the Badger's coming out. I did sell the artillery. Getting 4 cams. 4 falcons. I took this mill, he killed it. Or now he kills it. Or he killed it before, yeah, sorry. And here we go. So yeah, fight not looking too good for me. He just has so much stuff. But you know, Badger gets his rub up, and now it's kicking a lot of damage. So I end up with, you know, 5 tier 2 living at the end of that fight, which is huge. Instead, I end up overextending here, since I didn't expect him to have so much tier 1. Or even then, it was like 3 falcons, 2 skunks, 1 skunk that was almost dead, so... Oh, that was really bad overextension on my part. Super not worth it. Especially because I really want my Badger to be out, and I supply block my Badger by doing that. Let's head on farms on this mill. So yeah, honestly, the game's still looking really not awesome for me. My eco is so much lower than has been. Like, he just has so much more tier 2. So, what's gonna happen? Well, first is this is gonna happen. He's gonna lose 6 lizards for no gain, which still isn't enough. Is that 7 lizards? 7 or 8 lizards. So that's nice, but I mean, still not enough to get past what's happening. So what happens? Okay, let's see what happens. Look at my Badger. So he tries to focus my Badger, and look, his entire army is moving. So they all just end up dying. And like, sure, I guess my Badger is gonna end up dying, but he lost his entire army. And that's what I'm talking about. It's hard to micro this. And it still doesn't necessarily all work out, but you can really put your opponent in situations where the Badger gets rubbed up and they die, or they focus your Badger and their entire army is moving and doesn't do damage. What's this? Oh yeah, I think this is another game house behind, but still managed to win. Today he's just starting with Skrills, me too. Kind of a little awkward map for me. So I do have artillery, which is generally nice on these very dense maps, but the thing is I don't really have a way to get the artillery up. Like, I don't have any other structures to facilitate building artillery. Cam start is because, I mean, Sung start is just objectively better. But Cam start is a more aggressive option, kinda. You can do stuff with it, be a little cheesy. It's like to have some fun. Pretty standard eco, attacking up. So why do I have artillery in this deck, since I haven't really used it so far? Like, you think when people go artillery, you're like, oh, the deck's about the artillery. Like, try to get the artillery up. But again, if you don't have another structure to facilitate getting artillery up, don't go for it unless you have a reason to try to set artillery up. Because generally speaking, it's just not going to work. Like, you need terrain or some sort of advantage. Because 180 feet is too much to lose. They might just kill you in a fight while you're building it, or just gonna go 10 eco. So, but there are situations where I do like the artillery against tier 3s. On the chance times the map presents a good opportunity for it, etc. We haven't seen it yet, but I also like building artillery when I am actually doing the Badger push. I put our forward artillery up, which is fun. I also like to get to stop base races. Oh, this is gonna go poorly. They lost 6 lizards, killed 1 pig. Definitely would have been better coming this angle. But I had 2 skunks, 2 falcons. Against 9 lizards. Actually, no. 2 skunks, 2 falcons, fine against 9 lizards, so. Building the Badger. I really like to go up to 4 skunks with Badger because skunks are just so useful and they tank so much. Cams are tanky, but they're gonna die right away because they're melee. They don't stand there and do damage. They have to be micro. It's forward artillery. And here comes the fight. I try to micro the Badger away from the snake. So if the snakes are on like the south side of the army, I try to keep the Badger on the north side, hitting like a skunk falcon or whatever. Okay, here's one. Look, I have 3 cams that don't do anything right there, which is really not awesome. If the 3 cams have been doing shit, like my Badger probably would have lived because the fight would have ended that much sooner, and I wouldn't need the Badger at there then. So I'm like, oh fuck. But he goes after artillery. I clear up a lot of tier 1, stop him from doing that, which is really nice. I do decide to still keep the Badger here, which is a debatable decision because I do get the artillery up, so I could just go tier 2 artillery creep, honestly. That'd probably be a safer decision. But I decided to see if I can get the Badger out again. Especially since, although the artillery in this case, it's so far forward, it protects like the front and the mill, so I can just get my Badger revved up on the mill, because he needs to go in artillery range to stop that from happening. And he's going super heavy on the lizard. Which would have been good if I slowed down more on the skunk cam, but I didn't. Like, if I only had 4 skunks or 2 skunks, 2 cams, this would work, honestly. But I have 4 cams, 2 skunks, which is starting to look not awesome for him. Unfortunately, okay, not yet. Unfortunately, this happens. So that was a pretty big whoopsie on my part. A really big whoopsie, actually, letting the artillery die for no reason. So I had to go ahead and chase. Go ahead and start to kill out the mill. Badger is still alive, which is really nice. Just trying to finish the falcon there. Killing the warren, still pushing, but this is starting to look really dangerous because I don't have any skunks or cams left, so I have a really big problem trying to fight his squizzard. Plus my Badger's low health, which is not amazing. So again, look, he's trying. He overcommits his army trying to kill my Badger, which he does, but the rest of his army gets cleaned up while he's doing it. And this is my 3rd mill. I have 2 farms, so like he lost. And now I sell the Badger because they're in such a low eco stage. Like, I don't really have a whole lot left. I can't afford trying to wait for the Badger, pretty much. It's too risky. And yeah, this is kind of just some desperate attempt. It's, yeah, no bueno. Oh yeah, this game. I already made a video on this game though, so. yeah, this game was interesting. Oh yeah, here's this one too. Oh yeah, this was a fun one. So Plu was playing a very not amazing style of deck. You can win with it, but it's not good. But it's like these really weird tier 1, tier 2 structure decks, which are kind of neat. The problem is they have like literally no late game. Like they just have a much worse late game than even just 4 tier 2 sometimes, because like Skunk Snake would just get crushed by Falcon, Skunk, Cam Snake or something. Or if the enemy has tier 3, it's not looking too good. It's like you have structures to defend, but what are you defending since you don't have any late game? So like this style of deck is not very good in my opinion. Oh yeah, so we got this nice little rush from Blue, except he doesn't kill the pig. So this is really not awesome for him. So 2 lizard might not sound like a lot, but it is a lot, especially since I have my mill up first and he doesn't have a mill building. Oh, now this is a 3rd lizard. So I see that he's much later on the lizard count, so I decided to push across, especially since it's a choke point right here. Still goes better than him than I thought it would. I don't think I'm microed perfectly there, but I do force the farm cell, which is really nice. Starting to retreat now. Okay, so there's a problem with these replays, and I should have found other ones, but I keep on bringing out how you have so much more flexibility. You can do a lot more about the Badger in a Pigeonless Badger deck compared to a Pigeon Badger deck. The problem is I searched for all my replays named Pigeonless Badger, and if I named them Pigeonless Badger, it's because I won using the Badger. But there are a lot of games where I just win without ever using the Badger. I just use this great core of tier 2. Or the artillery or something. I'll see if I can find one real quick. Run across the mine, which is not awesome. Then the MG gets up and it's like, oh, this is not going too well. Alright, I'm ahead on eco, so. But that kind of equalized the game, since now I can just eco up real hard. Still going Mass Skrill, just because I might be able to do something. Because this is pretty good terrain to push against Lizard for Skrill. Because there's all this cliff and stuff in the way. Badger coming out. Now, you don't need artillery. Wait. I think there's a replay. Well, I tried like 1 or 2 games of MG in this deck, which is interesting. And I guess you could do snakes to actually just Skrill 4-2 Badger. You could do that if you want, actually. But I don't think it's necessary. I don't think you need a snake. I guess it could be nice. Again, it offers a lot more flexibility. You know, I might start using it actually. Skrill 4-2 Badger. That's interesting to think about. The problem is Snake and Badger in the same army is really, really not good because you need the micro snakes to make them work in large fights, but you also need the micro Badger in large fights. So. So yeah, that happens, which was really annoying. I mean, I killed 4 lizards, so I'm not the worst trade in the world, and I do get my artillery up. Going for the push here. It's looking kind of crazy. Kind of maybe overextend with the Badger. I probably should have just backed off like earlier in the fight and keep the Badger alive, since that was a decentish trade for me anyway. Especially since I could artillery creep to the front right here, and that'd be really nice. But now since I lost my army, I need to spend money rebuilding my army. I can't really artillery creep here. Unfortunately, it doesn't occur to me that he doesn't have aerial vision, so there would be no issue just keeping my army right here. Now, another question you might have: do you want 2 Badgers when you're doing this? Like, do you want to try to do like a 2 Badger timing? Well, no. Well, probably not. I haven't tried it yet. Like 2 base double Badger. I don't think you want it because again, this deck is really a lot about having the rest of your army doing work, not just the Badger. He does this fancy little thing, but I sell the artillery instead of letting it die to the snake poison, so I get most of the value back. He kills the campfire, but the campfire kind of paid for itself anyway, so it doesn't matter. And like then he takes this fight, and like he's basically kind of going around the choke point, since he's all his units round around the cliff, and he doesn't kill the artillery, and that was just really bad for him. So since again, this is a problem with this kind of deck. Like this, there's no late game to this deck. So healing the Badger up in the water. And like he gets artillery that time. Ah, my god, these fights are just going so poorly for him. Okay, so unfortunately I do let the Badger die that time, but I mean, I just have more army here and a better comp. Yeah, he does also have his own campfire, so it's still a knife's edge right here. Oh, picks off another skunk. I think I sell the Badger here. Yeah, I sell the Badger because I realize I'm ahead here. I just need to, there's no reason to try to wait for the Badger. Let me just get the regular army up. So yeah, it's looking a little bit scary for a second. I end up pulling back to regroup, but it's all good. And this should be game. Yep. And pulling back again. He just surrenders though, so. Surrender? Does he not surrender? Oh yeah, no he doesn't. Okay, never mind. I mean, not that he needs to surrender. If you have Lizard Snake, maybe we can, you know, base race. Let's put one snake over here, put the lizards over here. Something like that, but I'm not gonna do that. So let's look at this game. So again, Badger deck, but I never end up using the Badger here. So I have a decently safe meal. I mean, a really safe meal. Not so much. He has to take his forward meal, which is uncomfortably close to me. Or he could try taking this one, but this is vulnerable to a falcon flank, or even some sort of lizard flank if I run through this way. Since it's just so far away. Since he'll see me going around in the water from his meal vision, but he will not have a whole lot of time to react, as in not enough. Skunk start, or skunk first tier 2, just playing really defensive, no reason to be aggressive, so no reason for cams. He's going into skunk cam, which is kind of weird. Because like if I moved out of my base, sure, that's fine. Well, actually, no. He's Squizzard skunk cam is kind of fine, but you kind of want snakes behind that. This is for a little extra damage, so you can focus on tagging all the tier 2s or warrens or something, or a mill. So just a little back and forth posturing. I do have defender's advantage. But second Falcon pops out, he loses a ton of tier 1 to the gas. His tier 2 also gets super low health to the gas. And I was microing my skills during that fight, so I kind of kept my skills from taking damage. I didn't lose a whole lot of them. This is kind of a dangerous push since my skunks are so low health too. Cams come up. So I kind of lose a bunch of tier 2 there, which was... Wow, whoopsie. Kind of overextended it a little bit, which is really unfortunate, especially since the fight started off so well for me. Go putting farms up. Just trying to keep his cams from sniping a pig or something. Kind of going fast since I have to go to bed soon. Getting up 4 skunks. Like, if they have at least 12 tier 1, I think 4 skunks is still worth it. Especially if it's Squizzard. They could easily make the argument this for honestly just going more cams instead of going up to 4 skunks. Now we have what's better, Falcon skunk cam versus Falcon skunk cam snake. Which is better? That's a very excellent question. It definitely snakes add a lot of utility and options, but in a straight on fight like this, I don't think it really matters. Since there's a lot of things to micro, then are you going to be microing the snakes? So I'm actually microing my skills during these fights, which is pretty interesting. And look, I just have more cams here, so I just kind of push them over at first. And I mean, I just start rolling over them. More units, especially if cams. It's wow. Now, would you be able to, if you had Skrill Skunk Falcon, would you be able to do this? Or Skrill Pigeon Skunk Falcon instead? Would you be able to do that? No, you wouldn't. Because, I mean, Squizzard Cam Skunk Falcon would like roll over Skrill Pigeon Skunk Falcon. And that's like a really big crux of Pigeonless Badger over Pigeon, because the Pigeon in your deck slot, that deck slot limits you so much. Like by taking the Pigeon, like your whole deck falls around the Badger. You have so limited options outside the Badger. Is it really worth it? I'm gonna go no. Like, I really like Pigeon Skunk Snake, but Snake, as I said, super doesn't work with Badger. So, because you need the micro snakes to be effective in the fight at all. Like, if you don't micro your snakes, you're gonna have like 4 snakes put 8 snake tags on like 1 skrill or just something stupid. It's basically a complete waste of money. But if you don't micro the badger, it's also basically a complete waste of money. So you can't have both a snake and a badger in the same deck, really, or in the same army at the same time. Again, microing my skills here. Now, what unit do you want to micro in fights like this? That's a super depends question. Oh, okay. I guess it's last patch. Yeah, I guess that's it. So to elaborate on what I was saying, basically, Pigeon Badger is more nearly viable than Pigeonless Badger. It's kind of what I'm saying. And I definitely think Pigeonless Badger should be explored. Am I going to use this in tournament games? As it currently stands, I do like it enough to pull it out at least some games. Now, that particular deck of Artie, I'm still not sure. I might switch out the Artie for something else. I was briefly experimenting with MG. Maybe I'll get another unit, another structure. I'm not sure yet. But maybe I will keep the Artie. Just not sure. And that is the end of this video.